Welcome to another exciting episode of the National Agenda, your go-to political show where we discuss all pressing national issues. And you know that whenever we are on the show, we'll certainly give the grassroots the voice to be heard. Again, policymakers would also be heard on the show. Today we have two pressing issues to discuss. And so before we go into the issues, let me also remind my viewers out there that I've got two very important personalities in the studio who will be helping us discuss these two pressing issues. But then let's look at the issues now. So we understand that inflation rate has dropped to a record 8%. This looks it looks good for the country, certainly. And as a people, we must be very happy. The central bank is doing well. And so we commend the leadership of the central bank, the governors, for the good job done. We are also going to look at how government can manage its debts. We know that in recent time, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Dr. Kesala Tuforsen, presented the 2026 budget or economic policy in Parliament. And we saw a lot of huge monetary allocations to government policies, like the Ejumera, like the 24-hour economy. And then we also know that there are other welfare issues that must be met. We as a people in the country, like I always say, must feel the essence of this economic policy. Until then, I have always been of the view that until the average personality or the average person's life reflects that which the government talks about in the economic policy, then what's the essence of the huge numbers that is presented? Until then, we cannot say that the government has succeeded. So we are going to look at this issue. We'll discuss it. Let me not waste your time. Let me go straight to introduce my guest in the studio. So I have in the studios with me Ali Shamsu, who is with the incumbent government. He will be doing us the honors by speaking in favor of the incumbent government. And with him is Odoye Bright Soa. He is a political commentator, if I should say.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate you for coming. The last time in the studio was very insightful, and I must confess that we learnt a lot, and we've seen in the comment section what viewers are saying.
Yeah.
Today we have some good news, certainly. So let me start from you straightforward.
Okay.
The indicators are looking clean. It hasn't been long since we saw the cedi rise up against the dollar.
Yes.
In terms of international trading.
Sure.
And a lot of Ghanaians have touted the government and the finance minister, as well as the central bank, for policies they put in place.
Yes.
We are just hearing that inflation is hitting 8%. What are your initial comments on this issue?
Mr. Banfo, your audience are august, so I extend my greetings to them.
Certainly.
Yourself and production.
Yes, sir.
My brother Shamsu, just during our last episode, he was seated in my position and I was seated in his. I'm hoping that I don't become a member of his party just by dint of that. But that's just on the lighter side.
That's fine.
Mr. Blessed, Mr. Banfo, sorry for that. The economy is the fundamental, in fact, perhaps the most important aspect of every economy. Of every country. The direction of the country in terms of the contentment or otherwise of its citizens depend mainly on the economy, because the economy is what happens in our pockets.
Yeah.
The economy is not the mere niceties of the words couched in our budgets and the economic policy that are presented by our finance ministers on behalf of the president. It is what happens in our pockets. How much we can be able to dole out to be able to maximize our utility, and how much we can be able to save for even future expenses, being it expected, unexpected. That is really what an economy is. And so in light of that description and looking at the outstands of our economy in terms of the macroeconomic figures, I think that it is a good one for us. The good people of Ghana are going to be very happy about it. And already we are seeing it everywhere. Nobody seems to be complaining that much about what the economy is looking like, because inflation is down to 8.
It's good news. It's good news for investors.
Of a whopping 54%.
54%, certainly.
And that meant that if you were to take the cost of, say, a bottle of water a years back, before the year in which you had 24% as inflation rate, the price has gradually increased by 54%. So if it's a 100 Ghana cedis you paid a year earlier, you are going to be paying 154 in a year's time.
That's really huge.
Which is serious. You get it? In light of this, was our issue related to the debts?
Certainly.
Debts rose to a high level of close to 105%. Debt to GDP is what I'm referring to here.
Yeah.
And not only that, we saw a lot of economic policies which really didn't address the exigencies of the time, and no matter the altruistic motives that informed them, in terms of the policies, in terms of the ministers bringing those policies to bear. They really didn't address the issues that bothered us. Today, we have seen a government which has come into power. Some have said that they've learned from their experiences in their first term, and they have decided to do things the right way. And I believe that it is precisely that is informing the good economic outcomes.
But let me find out quickly. Do you think that these figures are just machinated? They are just figures that have been just put together just to make it appealing to Ghanaians?
I mean, Mr. Banfo, that's a question that must be asked. The response to it, I think, is rife. Everybody knows what the Bank of Ghana has been up to in very recent times. The quantitative easing that they've been orchestrating, making sure that they provide sufficient dollars to meet up with the demands that industry and private people have been demanding, based on what they intend to import or export. And so that's for me is something that, if we look at, we can be able to respond to the question of whether it is mere machinations. I mean, it is good to have machinations that bring
good results,
satisfaction.
Okay, all right. So, do you think that the government or the central bank is just manipulating the figures just to appeal to the people of Ghana in favor of the incumbent government?
I don't think so, because I think recently we heard the news from, is it World Bank or one of the international? They said our economic is very stable. Looking at our public debt in early this year, which is January 2025, which was about 730 billion Ghana cedis. It has dropped from 730 to about 630. So, and then the price...
That indicates that we've been able to clear off some of the debts.
Yes. So, it's not a machination from the ruling government. Looking at the cost of items in our market, things we buy, most of the things have dropped. Bag of rice and sugar, all this, even transportation has also dropped. Petrol, which is fuel, when you wake up, you hear, fuel has been reduced to maybe some 11.8, 10 point something. The dollar.
But I'm tempted to ask, these reductions, did they really affect the average Ghanaian? Do we really feel it down there?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the question. Because up to now, I think that we still have shops, we still have vendors that are selling like the way it used to be in times past.
So looking at most of the problem is from them. They will tell you, I bought the items before the reduction, so I have to clear everything off. But when price of goods goes up or shoot up,
they also push it up regardless of the time they bought it.
But I think recently I heard the news from Abosoko. I'm told most of them have started reducing their prices.
Yeah, because they are not buying.
So yes, it's not because they are not buying. It's because the price of goods and services, everything is going down, and then even the dollar too is
all right,
the city is very stable.
Let me come to you shortly. Yes. What role do you think the government should play or can play to ensure that we manage our debt as a country, looking at us, we juxtapose it against the fact that we as a country have a lot on our table to satisfy?
Mr. Banfo, I think the response to it is quite simple.
Okay.
The mere fact that a government runs into debt is really not a problem. It's about the repayment plan, how that debt accumulated can be
So
offset.
you think that having debt as a country is not a problem?
No, I mean the Western world,
most of them,
big economies that we speak so highly of recently,
They all owe.
US, they all
into which are US radical.
Not Ghana. Not Ghana.
I mean, and
I
you see, many a time we would want to compare Ghana to United States of America. They've been practicing their democracy for how many years?
Over 100 years.
More than.
Yes.
And we are just a young democracy coming up. You get it? And so comparing both countries in terms of their economic structure, to an extent, may be a little misguided. But there is good cause to want to do that. And so there's the simple point I would want to make by that is to say that there must be plans of repayment. We saw the record of the previous government before the incumbent government came. That although there were funds that were supposed to have gone into debt repayments, they had to send them into funding some
other things.
Yeah, some expenditures which really didn't address the debt situation, although in their own opinion were equally important. But insofar as the purpose for the allocation of those monies were debt payments, I think that to that extent, the money should simply have been used for debt payments. And the fact that they didn't do that alone, for me, makes me feel like they ran themselves into the situation and the public ridicule that they find
All right,
themselves.
Ali, let me find out from you.
Yeah.
In trying to manage government debt and also trying to meet the overwhelming welfare conditions of the people in this country, don't you think a PPP venture would help? Private-public partnerships, where we allow private individuals to establish businesses, and then the government would partner and say, okay, I'm going to help you recruit people. I'll pay this amount of money to the people. You pay this on their behalf. Don't you think those things could probably come in? We can let private individuals come and say, build our roads for us. We don't have money. Build it. Take tolls for a certain number of period of time. I believe these are things that can be done.
Exactly.
Right? I don't know what your thoughts are.
I also think the same. Even the recent Accra-Kumasi Expressway, I have the view that they should be given to maybe some, if investors, Chinese, they should just build it. Maybe different contractors, about 20 contractors from China or one of these big countries to construct it. And
are you saying that we don't have local people that can do this?
When you give it to local people,
and all of them,
the issue is the moment you give it to local people, you have to fund them. Most of them are not financially stable.
Okay.
So if we are only going for PPP, let's give it to one of these international, like China, for instance. They should just do it, and then the money that the government will use to construct, we can reserve it. Maybe after some 30 years of taking tools, then it becomes a public state, public
and we know
property.
Similar agreements is happening with SNIT. We understand that. If SNIT as an entity, even though it's not necessarily a private entity, partners with some various institutions and helps them. We know SNIT partners with universities a lot. They build hostels for universities, for instance, and run it for a certain number of years, and then after a while they hand it over. A similar thing could be done. I believe in the PPP ventures because look, America is doing the same. Elon Musk's company does not belong to the government, but America is running a lot of PPP ventures with Elon Musk. They are doing space travels, they are doing space projects, and there's Elon Musk that is doing everything, and the government is just partnering with them. So I believe we can do a similar thing. Now let me ask Ali. Let me ask you simply, what is the government's intention to help us recover from the debt? At least we've seen them make moves, but now that they have presented huge sums of money as allocations to policies in their budget, how do they plan to meet or mitigate that issue of debt?
So I think we are gradually moving from taxation to production. Looking at the recent budget that Atuforsen read, some budgets were scrapped, and then we are going to produce more. like the nkoko nkete. You see, the more you produce more locally, it will put pressure. Sorry, it will put pressure on the foreign goods that we've been importing. You see, the more you import, the more cost it's become on the state. So if we produce more locally and then we produce locally and then we export some, I think it will
it reduces our import.
Yes, it will reduce import and then increase our exports, which will bring some revenues to the state, and then definitely our debts will reduce. So we are moving from taxation to production.
I get you.
Yes.
So let me come back to you.
Yes.
On the issue of borrowing.
Yes.
Don't you think Ghana as a country can run without borrowing? I mean, we've seen leaders in times past trying to argue that, arguably, Ghana is one of the blessed countries when it comes to natural resources.
Yes.
I think that we have done ourselves a disservice by not tapping into it. It looks as though everything that we are extracting or tapping into is done by foreign individuals.
Yes.
And we end up incurring a lot of cost. See, as blessed as we are, don't you think it's time for us to stop borrowing?
Mr. Banfo, it is legitimate for anybody to say Ghana, depending on how far we've come, must move towards a point where we don't tend to borrow as much as we used to, particularly when you are to take, for instance, how much we lose to corruption. The very recent Auditor General's reports tell us how much we lose to corruption in way excess of what we got from the IMF, a $3 billion dollar facility to help us with our balance of payments deficits. Yet the loopholes that fraught our economic structures is there to ensure that this $3 billion doesn't go into any proper use. You get it? And so anybody who would want to say, depending on where we got into, we must be able to move from debts and borrowing and all to making sure that we use internally generated funds to fund our economic activities.
And about the internally generated funds,
yes,
what are some of the strategies you would recommend to the government, since you have been in that space for some time and you've been monitoring? What are some of the things that you can easily lay hands on and think that, okay, if we do this, then we may likely be able to retain some funds?
Yes. So the first thing that I would like to talk about, which I've seen my brother Shamsu's government put in place, is how to check against the situation whereby importers go to banks who are supposed to be the lending point or the handing over point for foreign currency to these businesses to import, are sometimes found in the situation where they go for these forex, they pay for purported imports, and they never get into the country. And in very recent times, we have the president on record to have said that a 5-year assessment that they did on this particular loophole has got them to discover that a whopping 45 billion of forex has left the shores of this country with the expectation that imports are going to get into the economy, and they never do. So I've listened to the current GRA boss in one of the post-budget discussions that UNDP and the finance ministry did, I think some time back, and they've said that they are going to deploy technology to be able to track very copiously where every forex goes to, and make sure that commensurate imports or exports, whatever it may be, match up to the forex that they go for from the banks. And I think that will be one of the major things that any government would be able to do in order that we can close all the loopholes. But even that is just one. The second thing that we have to look at is the mere fact that we even do the importation. I mean,
let's not take it away from us that I mean, importation may have its good effect as well. I mean, it gives us access to a wider market. At least it gives us the leverage to also tap into some of the resources. So importation will definitely.
No, but it is well and good that we import. But even as we do that importation, we don't have to do that at the expense of our local industry. You get it? We don't have to. And I believe that is what is informing, for instance, President Trump's tariff tariff disposition that we tend to have come to see here, seen in very recent times when he came to the reins of power. But you see, it is like a double-edged sword on that particular matter, because he is doing all he can to be able to make sure that he empowers the local industry, forgetting that local industries cannot be able to live up to the gap that will be created just by the mere fact that he is, to an extent, limiting importation. You get it? And so even as you do what you can be able to do to make sure that imports are coming in, you must do what you must do in order to make sure that the importations that are coming in are not one that are going to be at the detriment of the local industries.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
I'll come back to you and take
Very
more.
well.
Samson, let me just ask you, what role is the government playing right now? Yes, we've seen the huge allocations. Before the allocations, I mean, people were satisfied. But right now, we understand a lot of money, taxpayers' money to be precise, will be given or be allocated for certain projects to happen. But I want to find out what role the government is playing in terms of seeing to it that this is felt in the life of the average Ghanaian. Because unto them, may I say that the macroeconomic figures doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
If I don't feel it as an average Ghanaian, if I wake up and it's difficult for me to buy kenke, and kenke is like 10 cedis for a ball of kenke.
That's difficult.
So what role is the government playing?
I think looking at the budget again, for the example you use, that the average Ghanaian must feel the microeconomic indicators or must feel the economy. 800,000 jobs will be created.
Okay, that's the road they're playing.
So that one alone will reduce unemployment in the country and then increase employment rates, which the average Ghanaian that you use will be able to afford some of these basic things. The kenke you talk about, which we said 10 cedis. And then although kenke is never 10 cedis, as some of the MPs are saying, kenke is still 5 cedis.
But there are certain places that
for me, I'm coming. Let me chip in. The MP for Takoradi, former
Kobe.
Is it Kobe?
Second D, you mean?
Second D.
But Lawyer Mensah, Japa Mensah.
No, the former Western Regional Minister.
Kobe.
Kobe
Kwabenochi
Dako. He made allegation that kenke is 10 cedis. And then some blogger went to where he's been buying kenke. And then the woman said, my kenke is 5 cedis. But it's on request that some of them say if they buy 2 kenke, they can't finish it. So I should at least do 7 cedis for them. So the 7 cedi kenke is on request from the customers, not based on the economy. You get it? So the government is actually doing well.
You know what? I was just about to make a recommendation on the fact that I have seen in other neighboring countries, like the Ivory Coast, where regardless of the economic system, government has a monitoring tool or a monitoring system that regulates prices. So you go to like the East Legons, you go to like the Jowulus, you go to like
cantonments,
the cantonment, the sphincters areas, those elite areas, the areas that is like Westlands, you know. Government sets a threshold for you to determine, okay, at this place we are selling it like this. And then when we go to the regular market, this is how we are selling it. So you realize that it's just a small margin and you cannot sell beyond or even way below. So there's a monitoring system. So I was just about to make that example and see if the government has even got that in mind. Because our monitoring agencies are not working.
To be frank, price ceilings and floors are present in every economy. I mean, check it.
Yeah,
US,
certainly.
Africa, precisely Ghana. There is a price ceiling and a price floor for everything.
Yeah, for everything.
You see, the most efficient and effective way of making sure that prices are one that are bearable for the average Ghanaian must be the interaction between supply and demand. For me, that is the core. Because if a government were to say, let's sell, say, this bottle of water for 3 Ghana cedis, just because in their opinion, whether considered or not, an average Ghanaian cannot be able to afford 3 Ghana cedis for a bottle of water. What if the person selling the water or the producer of the water decides to hold the bottles of water to the extent that it becomes very scarce? I mean, the prices will shoot up,
Yes,
and the price ceiling that the government or price floor that the government will set will really not bear the fruits that it is intended to bear.
So then I think
demand and supply.
I think that then the government could possibly stick to the implementation of the 24-hour economy, so that even if it means that cost is going up, we as a country would continue to produce
more,
to help the pricing.
I mean, Mr. Banfo.
So what my brother was saying is, the companies can be producing, but they'll hoard it. Yes. So even if there's 24-hour economy, they're producing more. They can be producing more and then hoard it so that the price will shoot up, and then they'll be releasing it in batches.
Oh no, but
you see, I don't think that we should produce, hoard, and
all of that.
Down there, yes, we all don't agree to that, but
yes, but it could be the situation. I mean, the profound Ghanaian expression kalabule, as we know the history where it began from, and so it is not as if it is going to be unprecedented. Never. There would be verifiable history to that, and it is in wariness of that we want to advocate that government looks at that. But even Shamsu, you mentioned that the current government or your government, about which all of us are proud, is moving from taxation to production. Mr. Banfo, has it been just during your time that governments
certainly we have heard it over and over and over.
Listen, senior, the one that just ended, the government that ended, they were just saying it from taxation to economy, but no, they were saying from taxation, and then they were imposing taxes on us.
I get it, but we for instance we saw the previous government introduced the 1D, 1F, the one district, one factory.
Yes.
So geared towards
making sure
industrialization that we are producing.
If you are producing more and then you are taxing the people again, that means you are not moving from taxation to economy. You are moving.
Production, you mean?
Sorry, from taxation to
production.
So if you are bringing 1D, 1F on board, and then you are still taxing us, we should pay COVID levy, we should pay this, we should pay this. And then even the issue of 1D, 1F, I have a big problem with that. Most of the companies were already existed. And then they didn't even finance them.
No,
they didn't.
You know that Lombo brewery and
it has been there.
It's been there, except that governments came in to help in giving them that financial strength. They
didn't even give them anything.
But you see, that is why. You see, Mr. Banfo, if we continue on this tangent of simply blaming, apportioning blame to this one, commending this one, even
we will never
finish. You see, the structural issues is what we have to address. I mean, look at our policy rates. Interest rates on loans for micro and small scale industries in Ghana is what?
It will reduce very soon.
A high level.
The Bank of Ghana has said it.
And you are looking at this comparatively with other countries like China, whose industries borrow at sometimes 3% and all. You get it? So you can find all of these things as the structural issues that bother us. You get it? And so for any government to be able to succeed at making sure that we move from taxation to production, I would contend to say that they must make sure that any single step they take in addressing the issue must be one that address the real core issues. And of course, yes, but you can come.
All right, so let me. Sorry, I had to come through.
No problem.
What should political parties do to help the incumbent government? Because it looks as though almost every time we are blaming one party is blaming the other. As either the party is doing something else or the party thinks that because it's not my government, I need to forget about the policy you're bringing on board. So I'm simply asking, what should other political parties do to assist the incumbent government?
Mr. Banfo, number one,
achieving this cost.
Number one, the opposition and parties must support the incumbent government, and to an extent, we must be able to delimit issues that we can politicize from issues that we cannot politicize. I mean, for instance, the judiciary. These are the last points of resort when it comes to disputes in our country. And so for me, issues that border on the judiciary must not be political to an extent, or partisanly political. You get the mere politics of it doesn't really make for good. I mean, any solid
so
issue.
we appreciate that.
Yes.
Is that the only thing you think political parties could do?
Yes, and besides that, too, they must make sure that their arguments are based on facts.
So
You
from
see,
what
yeah,
are you saying? Are you
The
saying that?
arguments must be
Are you
on
saying that the
facts.
politicians, the opposition parties in
Yes.
parliament, the
Yes.
independent candidates,
Yes.
do not argue with facts?
They argue
Most
with
of them,
facts,
most of
but
them.
sometimes they treat facts like an Allen Cart's menu, where they only choose the facts to suit what they want to
No.
say. They must present. Of course, it will be difficult for them to present the full facts of the matter to the citizens
Because of
and
their
say
political
citizens
lenses
should-
they wear.
because they are in the business of guiding the view and perception of the citizens to appreciate them and look at them in a very good light compared to the opposition. So for that, it will be difficult for them to do. But really, that is what they must do in my very candid opinion.
All right.
And if they do that, I mean, Ghana would be the place where we seek
right.
to see it be. And,
All right.
and that's
I
what would
just
say.
let me add this.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We all know political parties are supposed to be watchdogs
Yes.
of the ruling
Even
government.
pressure groups.
Yes, to put pressure on the government. But sometimes the arguments some of our honorable members, quote unquote, make on parliament, sometimes we even wonder if we should call them honorable
Really,
members.
from both political parties.
Yes, from both political parties. Down the shoe.
Yes.
From both political parties.
And I find that very worrying.
But from
Yes.
the one from
Yes.
MPP, sometimes I just heard that the
But
former road minister wrote.
But
There he goes again.
then this year has always done this.
I'm coming. How can you write a petition
Yes.
to is it John Mahama or that they should stop the Accra Kumasi Express road?
Which is pure propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
But we have evidence today.
I'm coming. The evidence will soon come out. I'm coming. The evidence will soon come out. Senior,
the statements that's the
this isn't news from us.
Okay.
This isn't news from us. We were in this council when JB Dankwa wrote a letter or petition to UK that Ghana we don't deserve independence. So for NPP we know that one. It has been their norm. So if you are criticizing
I would
government,
appreciate
Yes.
it, Shams. I would appreciate it if you would provide certain evidence to some of
for that-
you are saying.
No,
to support-
about JB Dankwa issue.
No.
For
yes.
the road
Yes.
the former road minister. The evidence is clear.
Show me the part of the statements that he made that case. In fact, what
Or
he
if
said,
if you have
what
the
he
letter,
said-
we can have a
Yes,
letter.
I have a copy of the letter,
Okay.
and I know you have seen it. For which
Yeah.
reason you are pressing him to adduce evidence?
Have you
I
read it?
I have read the statement.
So-
how would I not read the statement and come here and make my
So
argument? I know you may have,
wait.
but
Are you
perhaps
telling me
you
I
don't
didn't
face the real
read
fact
it?
of the
No,
matter.
I don't think
I'm not
that's
saying
what
you
he's
haven't.
trying to say.
I'm
yeah.
saying that you probably may have read it, but because of the interest of your political party, you
Yes.
don't want to make sure that the real issues are.
The real issue is
brought
he
to bear.
wrote
But you see-
he wrote a
you
letter
see-
or a
you
petition
see-
that the road should be stopped or
and
the
do
first
what?
way should be stopped.
And he said,
But you see, what I'm
Yes.
understanding is that with the expressway, for instance, we
Yes.
understand that something similar had already been started by the previous government. And as we speak right now,
Yes.
you get to the Pokwase Amasaman stretch,
Yes.
already construction is
it's
ongoing.
ongoing.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
the point.
So
That's particularly
the express
point. My
road
brother,
will
hold on.
continue from
Hold on.
where the Pokwase to Nsawam road ends. So if you
but-
continue from there,
but we understand that what is already happening is not supposed to end at Pokwase Amasa. It's supposed to go.
No, but
The I'm
you
sure-
see,
no, no.
except I don't have
the
the
contract
full
ends at Nsawamo. It's not like it doesn't go beyond Nsawam.
No, but Mr. Banfo, except I don't.
It
have
doesn't
the
go
full-
beyond itself.
Except I don't have the full
Okay.
facts of the matter. I'm told this expressway is a new road route
They
on
will
its own, a
construct.
new one, a new
Which
one.
is
That
expected to
supposed
cut down our traveling trip to almost a half of
a
it.
half. I mean, 51 kilometers, several hours, and all. I mean, it's beautiful. But you are talking about, you see, and as part of the issues that the honorable minister, former minister Asenso Boachi and MP for Bantam raised,
Yeah.
was the fact that there is a continuing or a current project that is supposed to tackle the same program. Same problem
Okay.
that this expressway seeks to tackle, which is the dualization of the Kumasi Road.
Exactly.
You get it? And so the argument he was making, which I would side with him, to hilt, is that let's make sure that at 67% completion rate, let's apportion this amount that we want to apportion to the expressway, to completing it, and then probably in the aftermath of that, think about the expressway.
Okay.
And nobody should fault him for that.
But nobody said we are abandoning the road at 67%. Nobody said we are abandoning the project. They are talking massive dualization road. No one said we are abandoning it.
You see,
they will continue, but we equally need.
No, but you see, show me which part. He should show us which parts of the budget says that they are going to complete that.
And you see,
the budget is the document.
And you see, it's a bit worrying.
Yes.
What I find fascinating is the fact that this project was somehow happening, had already been started by the previous government, and that is where I think the previous government is also finding it a bit challenging to appreciate what the incumbent government is saying, because we've started something along that stretch. How is it that you come in and say you are going to? So it looks as though you would not want to even commend us for what we have already started.
For 8 years, this is what they were able to do. For good 8 years.
You are shifting the
we'll leave that for another time. But
I wish they had a representative to be able to lay the facts very clear on this particular matter.
We will be leaving. But then I want us to draw a conclusion to some of the things.
Very well.
What is the government going to do, assuming that it is unable to, finish the project that is they've spoken about? Because these are huge sums of money we are talking about. We wouldn't want it to be just rhetorics, because I have listened to a lot of political commentators, some from the opposition government, claiming that whatever is in the budget is just rhetorics. And what is the government doing? What steps have they taken so far to make sure that these just don't become rhetorics?
Personally, I think the Accra-Kumasi Expressway, personally, I'm not speaking based on being an AC member.
Go ahead.
I think if we get a private company, we actually need it.
Okay.
But for the state to fund it, that's where I have
a
huge challenge.
Yes. Okay. Because of the money, if care is not taken, they may not be able to even finish before they
it's out of borrowing, really.
Yeah.
It's out of borrowing, especially when feasibility studies haven't been done on the project.
Yes, and you see, we were just talking about trying to cut down our cost and all that.
Yes.
So it makes it a bit challenging.
They can even change it from expressway to maybe railway.
But what's the difference? Expressway, dualization. I don't get it. What's
the the dualization is two lanes here, 2 lanes here. But the expressway, what I saw, I think it's 4 or 5 lanes from each side. So yeah, definitely it will reduce accidents. Because the accident that happens on our commercial road, is too bad.
Interesting time.
Yes.
So your last words before we go?
My last words is that I would want to commend my brother and his government for doing everything that they are doing to make sure that citizens like myself, very average citizens like myself, yourself, and for him he's not part, and our viewers are living a good life.
He's an average man.
Oh no,
you think he's
a party day power.
He's a
party day power. What do I have?
Government. So what I want to say is that they should continue. The president has given express guidelines that should guide his ministers and everybody in making sure that they go about this economic management. My hope is that although for the beginning or for starters it's looking very well, they should continue on that trajectory in order that they can be able to make sure that the economy is one that every Ghanaian, both living in Ghana, abroad, wherever they may be, even our ancestors, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah,
will be happy.
Yes. Of the economy or the country Ghana, that he collaboratively with other very important bodies, JB and Power Grant.
JB for
No, we can't take it away from them. They are part of the big six. Let's not take it away from them.
My brother is so GP, you want to.
They are part of the founders. Anyway,
but there's no dispute.
I think we should have another day to discuss about it. But David Dankwa, don't bring him. Don't bring him. David Dankwa, don't bring them.
We have to
mention Bedeme's name and then.
So Ali, we have to go. So let's, in wrapping up, let me thank you so much for coming through today. We really appreciate your time and effort. Hopefully on another episode we'll have you. I pray that policymakers out there would appreciate your comment and possibly see what we can do as a country to resolve all that is happening. Viewers, this is where we draw the curtains down on today's episode. But before we go, let me tell you that our president is celebrating his birthday, certainly. And we missed it, but it's better late than never.
Yeah.
We want to celebrate you, Mr. President. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Happy belated birthday to you. And we say that God bless you. May God continue to give you the wisdom and the courage to rule our country and see to it that our country becomes a better place for all of us. But having said that, we want to also remind you that, please, all that has been said in this our budgets, this our economic policy, will just be rhetorics if it is not felt in the lives of the average Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And so we are pleading with you. Let's see what we can do to make Ghana a better place. We are projecting and hoping that there will come a time where the cedi would be a cedi to $1, or possibly 3 cedi to $1.
Just like how we left it.
One quick start to fly is when we'll be able to achieve that. Looking at the evidence on the matter, but it's a point that we hope
certainly. So viewers, let's get interactive on our social media handles. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, on X, the National Agenda. Please click on the notification bell or button on YouTube and let's get interactive. I always say that one of these days, what you say will be aired on the show. And possibly, if there's an issue you think that we have not covered enough and you want us to talk about it and get you the pundits, the people that can really help us address the issue, please, let's get interactive. Talk to us over there. Yeah. This has been the National Agenda. Like I said earlier, my name still remains Samuel before we go on for. And thank you for watching this episode. See you in another episode.